The King's Avatar, Chapter 1548. Impossible to predict. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1548. Impossible to predict. Translator, Noam Yummy. Editor, Noam Yummy. Zhang Jiali walked down from the stage, while Mo Fan stayed. Deception still had 72% of his health left. 28% to trade for 21%. Happy held onto their lead. Who would go up next for Tyranny? People were used to watching the group arena in the playoffs by now. Everyone immediately looked towards the seats on the loser's side. There was no point looking at the big screen to see the upcoming player. The information would come from those seats first. A player stood up. Tyranny's fans clapped wildly, welcoming Zhang Jiali and cheering for the next player. Chen Muyan, the reliable fifth player alongside the four gods of Tyranny, had been sent up as the important anchor in the group arena. At this moment, everyone realized that besides Zhang Xinjie, whose cleric wasn't suited for the group arena, the remaining three gods of Tyranny, Han Wenxing, Lin Jingyan, and Zhang Jiali, had been defeated. They had always been the pillars of Tyranny. Yet despite these three players having played, Tyranny was still in a losing position. Now, it was up to Tyranny's remaining players to get them out of this predicament. It wasn't that the fans didn't believe in the remaining players, but there was still a gap compared to those three. For a moment, they began to worry. All of a sudden, a bit of hesitation could be heard from their applause. Those who weren't attentive enough might not notice this detail, but Chen Muyan was not one of them. He could hear the worry from the applause. He wasn't affected by it though. The more it was like this, the harder he needed to work. He wanted to show that he could sweep away these worries. Chen Muyan walked onto the stage and entered the player booth. The match soon began. On Happy's side, Chen Guo was feeling quite solemn. She could deeply feel that anything could happen in the playoffs. Even if Happy had a lead right now, she couldn't relax. When she saw Mo Fan's opponent, she felt even more anxious. Enemies on a narrow road, an inevitable clash. Mo Fan and Chen Muyan had met on stage again. For a time, Mo Fan had been called the God Slayer. But in his previous two matches against Chen Muyan, he had lost badly. It wasn't just a matter of luck. Despite being a quiet player, Mo Fan would take the initiative to express his helplessness after the match. Chen Muyan was his bane. When they played, it felt like he had his hands bound. Only 3 nights had passed since their last encounter. Even if Mo Fan had improved during these 3 days, it was unlikely for him to turn things around in such a short amount of time. If you considered how the previous 2 matches between Chen Muyan and Mo Fan had gone, then Happy's lead would most likely disappear. Good luck! Chen Guo clenched her fists. The match began. Chen Muyan's -9 degrees rushed forward, while Mo Fan's deception took a roundabout route. He did the same as last time, choosing the left path. Because of the lava, there weren't very many routes in this map to choose from. As a result, when the 2 players noticed where the other had went, the start of the fight played out exactly the same as before. Mo Fan continued to have deception move forward. Chen Muyan made the same choice as Zhang Jiali. His -9 degrees look around. His pathing was the same as Dazzling 100 Blossoms. There weren't any other choices on this map. Deception was still that deception. -9 degrees movement speed wasn't much different from Dazzling 100 Blossoms. In the end, the 2 combatants met in the same place. However, this time, as soon as deception was in range of -9 degrees, Chen Muyan immediately attacking. Gunfire spouted from his dual guns. Bullets flew out. Chen Muyan's outstanding positioning skills had received no small measure of praise. In the beginning, he had been ignored. His existence seemed so thin compared to the 4 gods surrounding him. In reality, Chen Muyan's strengths didn't only lay in positioning. Positioning was one weapon, but the basis for his consistency lay in his solid fundamentals. Perhaps it was because of this reason that he had been ignored for some time. The fundamentals were the basics. It wasn't flashy. Even when he had his moments to shine, even experts would overlook it, let alone when there were four gods stealing the spotlight. But even for a stone that didn't shine, if it stayed there for long enough, it would be noticed. Chin Muyun's ability was slowly discovered and recognized by everyone. No one would ignore him anymore. Finding his hidden talents were even somewhat of a game for people now. Just like now, he was moving while firing, yet his aim was extremely accurate. It was undoubtedly a show of his fundamentals. Bullets flew. The aim was true. For a player like Chin Muyun, there was no such thing as rashness. Every move had a clear purpose. Pung. Purple smoke spread out. Smoke bomb. It was smoke bomb again. Mo Fan's first move was the same as the previous round. However, his opponent was not the same. His previous opponent had been Zhang Jiali, who had been at a health disadvantage. For Zhang Jiali to beat Mo Fan, he had to try and trap him. But Chin Muyun was different. He had more health than Deception, so he wasn't anxious at all. Seeing Deception's smoke bomb, he immediately had -9 degrees retreat. At the same time, he fired normal attacks towards the fog. Bang bang bang, bang bang bang. Bullets tore through the smoke. Thin trails appeared in the smoke. Chin Muyun didn't seem to care whether they hit. Mo Fan wanted to use the smoke as cover, but his Deception had no way of reaching -9 degrees. Chin Muyun kept a safe distance away. Mo Fan didn't waste any time. Deception immediately rushed out from the soak. Chin Muyun immediately adjusted his aim, but Deception was moving extremely fast. Xing Arc. An assassin's skill. Yishu's unspecialized often used it as a movement skill. Deception was using it in the same way. Deception instantly traversed a length of distance. The bullets from -9 degrees missed. Chin Muyun didn't panic. -9 degrees hands were as steady as Eve as he retreated while firing back. Aerial gun? It was a form of movement. And for a positioning expert like Chin Muyun, his aerial gun technique was very skilled. His jumps backward and the recoil were paired perfectly. He would fire towards the ground as soon as he landed to maintain the maximum speed. Suddenly, Deception completed a shadow clone technique to instantly move forward, but there was still some distance between him and -9 degrees. Deception formed a seal again. His hands moved in a blur. By the time Chin Muyun readjusted his aim, he finished the hand seal. Deception had clearly taken a single step, yet his character moved nearly 2 steps. Ninjutsu, ground shrinking technique. Another movement skill. Xing Arc, shadow clone technique, ground shrinking technique. 3 skills were used in rapid succession. A large amount of distance was instantly covered. It didn't seem like much, but when they saw where Deception had started, they were immediately shocked. But what was more shocking was Chin Muyun. Deception had directly used free movement skills. As for him, WuxiaWorldAudio.com. His -9 degrees had only used an aerial gun. But after Deception used these 3 skills, the amount of distance closed wasn't enough. In this chase, it wasn't merely a contest of speed. Any movement started from picking a location and then moving there. A contest of movement was also a contest of positioning. Chin Muyun's -9 degrees moved very efficiently. As he maintained his maximum movement speed, he also made it difficult for his opponent to move efficiently. 3 movement skills weren't enough to catch up to aerial gun, but it didn't mean that it hadn't been possible. Deception had been restricted to a certain extent, and at this distance, it didn't gain him much of an advantage. It could even be said that by being neither close nor far was more disadvantageous for him. But it looked like Mo Fan still had hope. After the ground shrinking technique, he formed another seal. What ninjutsu would it be this time? Mo Fan's hands were too fast. Chin Muyun wasn't able to tell what skill he was using. Even so, -9 degrees continued to attack. Bang bang bang. The bullets all landed on Deception. Surprisingly, the shots made him slide backwards, but then, with a poof, he turned into a straw man. Ninjutsu. Substitution technique. His real body had moved AEAD similar to shadow clone technique. However, shadow clone technique could allow him to move towards the target, wherever he wanted. But substitution technique was random. What direction it went or how much distance was covered was randomly chosen. As a result, substitution technique wasn't a skill that could really be treated as a movement skill because it wasn't reliable. But even if it wasn't reliable, it was possible. A random direction and a random distance. What if luck got him to -9 degrees? It was a gamble, a true gamble. No matter how experienced or how good you were at reads, it wasn't possible to predict where Deception would appear. Because even he didn't know. No one would know. Where would Deception appear? The crowd gasped in astonishment. Empty cicada double kill. Deception's 2 daggers had cut into -9 degrees. Mo Fan's gamble was a success. Deception appeared at an okay spot, but since there was no way to know where he would appear, Chin Muyin had no way to prepare. What was ordinarily an okay spot became that much more perfect as a result. A silent attack from a ninja, and it had head, and chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1549 Chance, Audio Source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1549 Chance. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Hua. The crowd erupted. How could he be so lucky? Countless Tyranny fans were filled with grief. Luck was luck, but it couldn't be ignored. And at this moment, its importance was being displayed in front of everyone. He had been moved randomly to such a good spot. If it wasn't luck, what was it? For life or death to be decided by luck, the losing side was the most helpless and the most unwilling. It's no wonder that Tyranny's fans were unhappy. How surprising. To think Mo Fan would make a gamble. Who would have thought? Pan Lin also cried out. The deepest impression that they had of Mo Fan was his patience and perhaps excessive caution. Yet this sort of player had chosen a method that he didn't have a complete grasp of, betting on luck to succeed. It was truly unexpected. But is that really the case? At Tyranny's seats, Zhang Xinji had marked out on his electronic pad the distance between Deception and -9 degrees when the substitution technique had been used. He had drawn a circle showing the maximum distance that could be traversed using substitution technique. He split the circle into several small sections. The circles in red were areas that were dangerous for -9 degrees. The circles in yellow were areas that posed a threat. Blue represented areas where there was no threat. Black represented areas unfavorable for Deception. With the substitution technique's range, the area in black was the smallest. The area in blue was the largest and then the yellow. Although the area in red was smaller than the area in yellow, it still took up around 15% of the total area. The area in black was only 8%. It didn't matter whether or not Mo Fan had a high chance of reaching a good position, the chances of him getting into an unfavorable position was only 8%. This substitution technique wasn't purely a gamble. With only an 8.2% of truly failing, there was in fact little risk for Mo Fan. In reality, this choice was very safe. Mo Fan was still Mo Fan. He didn't make risky moves. Although he made a gamble, it was because it was in his favor. The chances of failure was less than 10%. In the end, he got lucky. Deception was able to close the distance between himself and his opponent. Once his empty cicada double kill landed, a combo was started. The distance between them was too close. Chin Muyin had no way of starting up his gun fu, which required a certain amount of distance and space. -9 degrees kept trying to retreat. He was in quite the defensive position. Deception stayed in close pursuit. fireworks style. It didn't appear. Mo Fan continued to have deception attack relentlessly. This was the difference between Mo Fan now and the Mo Fan of the past. Instead of immediately retreating as soon as his threat was starting to give out, he persevered. He recognized that there were many areas where he couldn't compete with Qin Miyun. Facing an all-rounded opponent like Qin Miyun, it was very difficult to repeatedly employ his signature fireworks style in this sort of map. Perhaps this was his only chance. He had no choice. He could only surpass his limits and continue AEAD. How long could he last? Those who truly understood Mo Fan's style were wondering about this question. And this included Qin Miyun. Mo Fan's style was very distinct. Deconstructing someone with such distinct characteristics was easier. It wasn't a style that could easily be overlooked, unlike Qin Miyun's fundamental heavy style. In terms of play style and upbringing, these two were on opposite ends. Mo Fan had taken a gamble to break through Qin Miyun's defenses. As for Qin Miyun, even though he was in a passive position at the moment, he was calm because he knew that Mo Fan wasn't good at keeping up a long assault. Perhaps it was an issue of focus or an issue with his technique, but in either case, there was no need to panic. An opportunity would appear. Persist. Both players were thinking the same thing. What a strange feeling. Mo Fan started to feel numb. His mind seemed to come to a standstill. All he could see in front of him was Qin Miyun's -9 degrees. Everything else had become a haze. His fingers were moving, but he didn't know what they were doing. Sometimes, Mo Fan only realized what skills he had after using them. His thoughts were starting to have trouble keeping up with his actions. Chance. Qin Miyun finally saw an opportunity. -9 degrees struck with his knee, while his other leg slid backwards, instantly pulling the distance apart. With a bang, Qin Miyun immediately began his counter-attack. Everyone was stunned. They hadn't seen any signs of it coming. Hadn't deception been playing well? But nevertheless, Qin Miyun had taken back the initiative. With their positions suddenly reversed, Mo Fan was having trouble adjusting. He wasn't very good at defending. His expertise was at escaping. But trying to completely escape from a gunner's attacks was quite troublesome. Gunners had a very long range. From this perspective, Mo Fan's fireworks style was rather hard to use against long-range classes. Pulling apart the distance and retreating was exactly what long-ranged classes wanted you to do. When playing against long-ranged classes, it wasn't a good idea to try and completely escape from the opponent's attacks and then coming back. It was giving up space, allowing the opponent to set up barriers. Facing long-ranged classes, close combat suppression was king. Even the fireworks style could not stray from this principle. But Mo Fan wasn't doing this. His deception began to run away. It looked as if he was only going to be happy when he completely escaped from -9 degrees. I don't think that's a good idea, Pan Lin said. He had already closed the distance with -9 degrees. He shouldn't have given up so easily. Mo Fan is still lacking in experience. Li Yibo agreed with Pan Lin's judgment. Mo Fan wanted to run, but Qin Miyun wasn't going to let him go so easily. -9 degrees chased after deception closely. Mo Fan had no way of completely escaping. At this distance, deception had no way of making any counterattacks against -9 degrees. He had taken the initiative to pull apart the distance between them. Qin Miyun was glad to see it happen and didn't try to block him too hard. Right now, Mo Fan could only be bullied. Pan Lin and Li Yibo felt extremely proud of their foresight and kept talking about it on the broadcast. But even though Mo Fan was on the back foot, Qin Miyun's offense wasn't anything impressive. Deception moved nimbly, dodging and weaving the gunfire from -9 degrees. He wasn't able to escape from Qin Miyun, but Qin Miyun had no way to kill him. Mo Fan's skill, trained from running for his life in huge, chaotic wars, was being put on display in this 1v1. Not only was this distance uncomfortable for Qin Miyun, Mo Fan was at ease dodging the incoming attacks. I need to get closer. For long-ranged attackers, the farther away they were, the lower the chances of hitting the target. This distance couldn't be considered as far, but Mo Fan's skill at dodging made it much harder to hit him. Qin Miyun began having -9 degrees press a bit closer. Suddenly, Mo Fan's deception turned around and dashed towards him. Xing cut. With this assassin skill, deception had instantly traversed a length of distance. WuxaWorldAudio.com. Qin Miyun, who had -9 degrees press forward, felt that something was wrong. This distance was too close. Attack, leap backwards. Qin Miyun had wanted to close the distance a split second ago, and now he wanted to pull away. But this time, Mo Fan didn't retreat. After Xing cut, he used shadow clone technique. Something isn't right. Qin Miyun stared blankly. This scene felt like deja vu. But he continued to have -9 degrees retreat, while controlling the distance between the two of them. Ground shrinking technique. This skill again. Qin Miyun knew what was going to happen next. It was the same strategy as before. Qin Miyun tried to block him, but failed. After ground shrinking technique was substitution technique, where the usually steady and calm Qin Miyun started to panic. -9 degrees spun around. This time, he wasn't as unlucky. The position that the substitution technique had sent deception wasn't dangerous for him. However, Qin Miyun didn't have any advantages either. Just like what Zhang Xinji analyzed, the chances of deception being placed in a bad position was only 8%. This time, he didn't win any opportunities, but he didn't lose out. It basically amounted to nothing happening. Mo Fan's deception immediately began to retreat, while Qin Miyun's -9 degrees immediately pressed forward. Attack, dodge. Qin Miyun knew why Mo Fan wanted to run away before and why Mo Fan didn't continue pressing him. Because for Mo Fan, he had a better grasp of running and dodging than approaching and pressuring. As he dodged, he waited for an opportunity for him to start a new round of gambling. It sounded somewhat ridiculous. He had already gotten close, yet he was insisting on retreating and then going through so much effort to get close again. But that was Mo Fan's style. It was what he was in control of. He wasn't good at keeping close. He was good at burst attacks. Even if he tried to persist, it would end up being broken in the end and then he would be counterattacked. When that happened, he would have to run away, and that was exactly what he was best at. Then, he turned around, re-established his position in close combat, his burst combos, and his stubbornness. It was the same fireworks style. Mo Fan hadn't changed. He didn't bet on luck or do things by flukes. He used his terrifying patience and his own familiar methods to create this strategy of chance. In the 6th round of the group arena, Happy's Mo Fan won. He had tried a total of 12 times. 3 successes, 7 resets, and 2 interrupted by Qin Miyun. End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 1550 Last Hope. Audio source WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1550 Last Hope. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Amidst a rain of bullets, Mo Fan repeatedly ran and dodged a total of 12 times. 2 times he was interrupted. 7 times nothing came of it. However, he succeeded 3 times, and the battle ended in Mo Fan's victory. The audience didn't know how to feel regardless if they supported tyranny or Happy. Mo Fan's performance couldn't be described as good or bad. His stubbornness seemed ridiculous, yet in the end, he was able to drag down Shin Mi-yun through patience and perseverance. You might not like this sort of person, but you had no choice but to recognize his achievements. Shin Mi-yun came down from the stage. His opponent had used the exact same strategy 12 times to win. It sounded like a joke, but no one would think Shin Mi-yun played badly. Shin Mi-yun played as steady as ever. As a player who had come from Tyranny's training camp and been trained meticulously, there was no way he would just let Mo Fan repeatedly use the same strategy over and over again. After realizing Mo Fan's intentions, he had kept trying to thwart Mo Fan's plans or directly kill him. However many times Mo Fan repeated the strategy was however many times he had tried to thwart it. He lost. That was the outcome, but no one could criticize him for it because no one knew how he was supposed to have won. Shin Mi-yun had done everything they could think of. It was an outcome that couldn't be explained through common sense. Everyone was silent as they watched Shin Mi-yun return to Tyranny seats. Tyranny only had one player left. As for Happy, apart from Mo Fan, they still had two players remaining. Their lead was enormous. After recognizing the situation, Happy's fans finally recovered and began rooting for their team. As for Tyranny's fans, they knew that the situation was extremely unfavorable for them, but they couldn't give up hope. They had to hope for a miracle. Even if they couldn't, they had to let Happy know that their conviction wouldn't be shaken even in this sort of situation. Who would be Tyranny's last player? The crowd watched attentively as a slim youth stood up from Tyranny's seats. Song Ki-ying, Tyranny's rookie this season. The person who would inherit Tyranny's future. At this moment, he had become Tyranny's last hope. Even though a loss in the group arena didn't mean the match was over, it was an incredibly important moment. Song Ki-ying's performance would set the momentum in the following team competition. Just thinking about it made many people feel extremely nervous. Song Ki-ying stepped forward and set his sights on the stage. "I definitely won't let your efforts go to waste," he said firmly. Just because they were behind didn't mean that the efforts from the others on Tyranny were for nothing. Song Ki-ying wasn't only referring to their efforts in the group arena, but their efforts over this entire season and these 10 years. Team Tyranny's fifth player was Song Ki-ying. Class, striker, character, River Sunset. The electronic screen displayed the results of the previous match before putting up the information on Tyranny's next player. Even though everyone already knew who it was, all of Tyranny's fans stared at the name on the screen. At this moment, Song Ki-ying had become the symbol of Tyranny. Everyone was certain that this youth would hold up Tyranny for another 10 years. Steady, never retreating. The seventh round in the group arena. Happy's Mo Fan versus Tyranny's final player, Song Ki-ying. The battle began. Song Ki-ying chose the middle road, and River Sunset cut across directly to the center. Mo Fan took a roundabout route just like in the previous two fights. At this point, was he still planning on being so stubborn? The camera stopped on Deception. The traces of the previous battle could still be seen on him. Shin Mi-yun had put up a fierce fight even if he had ended up losing. He had dealt a considerable amount of damage to Mo Fan. 4%. At this moment, Deception only had 4% of his health left. The outcome of this match was a foregone conclusion. But they felt like that if it was Mo Fan, he would certainly do something unexpected even if his character was nearly dead. The course of events went the same way as the previous two battles. Even though Song Ki-ying's River Sunset wasn't a long-ranged class, his vision was the same as theirs. When it was about time, he noticed Deception. Then, he didn't hesitate to turn around and rush over in that direction. It was the same as before. Everyone thought to themselves, Mo Fan had played on this map against two opponents. He was certainly much more familiar with the map than Song Qiang. Would he take advantage of the terrain in some way? With only 4% of his health, would he actually be able to take out Song Qiang? The audience was thinking of Mo Fan as some sort of monster, even daring to think that he could beat Song Qiang with only 4% of his health left. Let alone Deception's health. Deception barely even had any mana left. In the last fight, he had went back and forth with Chinmayun 12 times. How could he not have expended an extraordinary amount of mana? Deception didn't have enough mana to kill a full health character. But then again, it wasn't without logic. There was lava. No. It's starting. The two characters approaching each other. This time, the one with the attack range advantage was Deception. As a result, he was the first to attack. After throwing a shuriken, Deception wasn't in a hurry to continue forward. Against long-range classes, closing in on the opponent was fatal. Against strikers, it was the opposite. If it wasn't from a sneak attack, then directly confronting a striker was the same as sending yourself to death. Deception wasn't in a hurry to approach. River Sunset didn't slow down though. He tilted his body to the side to dodge the shuriken and sprinted forward. In the blink of an eye, his fist swung towards Deception. Deception swiftly retreated. Mo Fan clearly didn't want a direct fight with Song Qiang. However, Song Qiang's advance didn't stop. River Sunset stepped forward in pursuit, while Deception continued to retreat. Not long afterwards, he was forced to the edge of the lava. Double Tiger Palm. River Sunset's two arms shot out, blocking Deception's path to the left and right. Behind was lava, but if he didn't dodge, he would be pushed into the lava. In the end, Mo Fan made one last struggle. Deception made feints left and right, then suddenly turned right. Unfortunately, Song Qiang wasn't tricked. His double tiger palm didn't leave any openings. Pa. A hit. Deception puffed into smoke. Oh oh oh. All sorts of cries came out. The feint to the left had been a feint. The feint to the right was a feint as well, but its true purpose was to hide his hand movements. Shadow clone technique. After his real body appeared behind River Sunset, with just a push, he could send River Sunset into the lava. Deception kicked out, annihilation. As for River Sunset, using the momentum from double tiger palm, his body jumped up, whirlwind kick. Bang bang. Two sounds. WuxaWorldAudio.com. Annihilation was extremely fast. It arrived at River Sunset first, but River Sunset was already moving backwards. In the end, the whirlwind kick had struck Deception as well. Tong. River Sunset fell into the lava, but Deception had lost his last remaining health from the whirlwind kick. Even though River Sunset had fallen into the lava, he had already won. His health was locked into place, and the lava would not hurt him any further. Sigh. At this moment, quite a few people felt for Mo Fan. If he had been able to dodge it, then his performance today would have been even more perfect. The seventh round of the group arena ended with sighs. Most of these sighs didn't come from the people in the crowd though, since most of those people were Tyranny fans. Beautiful. Quote, they were cheering for their young general, Song Qiang. When Deception had used shadow clone technique, they had been very worried. But at the critical juncture, Song Qiang's River Sunset executed a beautiful and precise whirlwind kick. How courageous. Truly deserving of Tyranny's future. Keep winning. Quote, they shouted. Happy's fourth player stood up. Fang Rui, the dirty Fang Rui. For rookies, he was the most difficult player to deal with. Rookies with weak willpower would sometimes even lose their confidence facing this sort of opponent. Although Song Qiang wouldn't go so far as to be afraid, it truly was unlucky for him to encounter Fang Rui here. No, it couldn't be said to be luck. Fang Rui had been chosen by Happy to come up. Perhaps it was to target a rookie like Song Qiang. Fang Rui's footsteps were gentle and light, as if he were under no pressure. He winked at Mo Fan and said a few words as they passed by. Unfortunately, Mo Fan simply walked by him expressionlessly. This was exactly what the phrase "giving the cold shoulder" described. Fang Rui didn't seem to mind. As he walked onto the stage, he even said a few words to the referee. Soon, the match began. "Friend, is there anything meaningful that you want to chat about today?" And the trash talk began as well. Tyranny's fans looked at Fang Rui disdainfully. Although from his words, it sounded like there was some background to it. Those with good memory immediately thought of the fourth round of this season when Tyranny faced Happy in their away game. That round, Song Qiang had also met with Fang Rui. While Fang Rui was chattering non-stop, Song Qiang responded with the "I won't respond to anything that's meaningless," and then ignored Fang Rui. To think Fang Rui would actually remember those words. It seemed like his trash talk even needs some history to spice it up. The master of playing dirty was truly diligent. As for Song Qiang's reply today, "I'm going to win," it was just 3 words. End chapter.